Oh, not now. That's straight-legged. And once you get into this position, that you bend, yeah, and then slide that other leg all the way to 1. Oh. The lungy leg. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's gorgeous, Josh. Can you take it from the hand along? Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, and I think that your instincts are right in that if you can, as your hands, as you're starting to go down, that you make sure that this hand doesn't cover your face. Yeah. Yeah, can you keep your head up? And then can you rest it on your other arm? Yeah. Bless you. And then from here, can you just rotate so that and then put your head to the, yeah. And then from there, can you bring both arms down so that they're on the length of your leg that's on the diagonal? Like behind you like this. Yeah. And do it really slowly so that you're so that you turn, and it's basically like you're resting your head on someone's shoulder, and then allow those hands to come down gently and to just go along the length of that's beautiful. And then you grab onto the handle and you jump up like a backpack. And then we just pretend that you're flying. So just like move like this if you can. Where do you want to take it back from the beginning? You want to take it back just from standing up? Like straighten your legs. Yeah. Lovely. Oops. Beautiful. From there, can you just bring your hands back to the wall into the push up? And then can you just push all the way back to lean back on 1? Oh, that was beautiful. I love that. So if you could make a little bit more of the the pushing off of 5. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I like that you ended up on releve, and from that releve, can you just really slowly take your time coming down? That's gorgeous.
A little strange because I'm actually releve.
I really like that. From there, can you slowly slide your foot out?
That's what I mean, which is to say I can try and force my feet forward.
If that's okay, I really like it.
Also, 2 feet. What's the opposite of second position? Pigeon.
Yeah, you're doing the pigeon.
Yeah. That's actually probably the easiest way down is to do that.
That's so funny. I mean, what I'm interested in is the slowness of it. I am sort of interested in the fight that you have to do to get your heels down, but if it's too awkward, just really slowly get down into pigeon. I think your upstage leg and just slowly slide it forward. Yeah, and I'm holding on to my wall, so if that's helpful to you to put your hand, I'm sort of going like this in order to slide my foot. Oh, that's nice. That's great. So slide and then come back, and then slide again and come back, still nice and slow. And then if you can slide, and then can you go up onto your toes and then forward onto keep your feet, this is precarious. So you slide, keep your feet where they are to move yourself forward, and then slide. Yeah. Yeah, go all the way forward and then go all the way back so that you're still in the same position that you were in. Yeah, exactly. That's beautiful. Okay, can you take it from me from the hand on the wall? Oh, that's such a glorious position.
Yeah, we don't use 3 as much as we should.
I know, I was thinking about that when in rehearsals for Chekhov, I was like, I keep saying 1 and 5, but I never say 3.
Yeah. I guess I was just riffing off of like, what if it's actually back of hand, wrist, and elbow that do most of motivating moving?
I love that. It feels really good.
It's got a little. I call it sad Dick Van Dyke and Shitty Shitty Bang.
Yes. It feels really good. I really liked that stuff feels really good. And then you got into a nice, you like brought your leg up behind you, which felt really, oh yeah. Yeah. And then eventually at some point in time, you moved yourself. Oh, beautiful, Josh. Yeah, and the softer you can keep it and the less bouncy. I would say it's a cross between like Sad Dick Van Dyke and Shitty Shitty Bang Bang, crossed with Paul Rudd in Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Totally. Also, I would love to see Dick Van Dyke play Paul Rudd's dad while he's still alive.
Ugh. Did I sent you a TikTok of Dick Van Dyke, right?
Did. It was a great TikTok.
There we go. Hello.
These are beautiful, Josh.
I also love these like micro adjustments.
I do too. They feel really, really good to me. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, gorgeous. Can you get to Mermaid from there? You can face with your back to the audience. That's fine. Or yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Mermaid.
I think Mermaid's better with you when you face front.
I probably agree.
Yeah, that's nice. Can you put your hand that's closer to 1 on the floor? Yeah. And I think that like the softness of going from that position to that position is super interesting. That every once in a while it can be motivated to be a full palm. From there, this is silly, but can you run your right hand from the tip of your head along the side, like you're tracing the side of your body all the way down your body? Yeah, and then exactly. And then once you get there, is it possible, can you use your abs for a second and then put your other hand on top of that hand? Yeah, okay, never mind. Forget I said that. The tracing's beautiful though. I want it to be like, can you count to 30 as you do it? And then when you get to your feet, just stop.
Great. Done. Ready.
Yay. Okay. Okay, great. So from here, can you what were you just doing? Oh, that was beautiful. Will you do that? Oh, that's so lovely. And then from there, can you
Hey there. Hi, Katie Rose.
Hi.
Hey, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the Theater in Quarantine Digital Salon Part 2, 7 p.m. So excited for you to join us. We had a really amazing time earlier this afternoon. Why are we here, Katie Rose?
I mean, there are so many reasons. I mean, the why are we here on this planet in this moment? I can't answer that question. I mean, a bigger why are we here is because you turned your closet into a theater and now we can make art. But the smallest of them is that we are here to show you all a little bit about our process.
Yeah. We thought it'd be really exciting to kind of open up the rehearsal space. I think for the past almost 2 years, we've been kind of generating a lot of material and sort of throwing it out there, and we're happy to talk about it, but we don't really share the room itself. I mean, honestly, we haven't really been live that much the past couple months. We're going to let things reopen around us, prepping for what was going to be our very first in-person performance right now. It would have been happening right now at the New York Public Library's Lincoln Center Library of the Performing Arts, but unfortunately that got postponed because of the variant. And so we kind of pivoted and we were like, okay, well, let's do an open rehearsal instead. Let's invite some smart people talking about digital theater and see, you know, if we can start to create a dialogue around where this form might go at a moment where we're finding ourselves, you know, thinking about digital again and going, oh gosh, this might be around longer than we think. And well, certainly it deserves to be, because we could do some really cool stuff. Gosh, we have Jared Mezzocchi, who's going to join us in a little bit. But first, and I'm just so excited to talk to Jared. If you're on Twitter and are excited about digital performance, I'm sure you're following Jared. But before that, we're going to just sort of get into the closet and work a little bit. We've been playing with... Here, I'm just going to play a little video. This is something I sent to Katie Rose like a week ago, right? Here it is. So, yeah, go ahead, KR. You can talk.
I was just going to say that also, like, this is part of our process. Generally, a piece starts with Josh being like, oh, I did this thing, and look at this. And then he always records it and then sends it to me, and then we talk about it and like talk about what we liked, what seemed exciting, what we wanted more of. And then we go actually into the closet and play around with those ideas. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the show and tell part of the process is actually really key. You know, we talk about this a lot in terms of our larger work with larger design teams, that the sort of proof of showing what you're doing and what you're thinking is so essential with the digital work, because our imaginations just haven't quite adjusted in the same way. Like, you walk into a rehearsal room and you tape out, you know, scenery on the floor. Everyone understands the convention of that. We don't all understand the conventions of what we're dealing with or what our toys are or tools. So it's really important to like actually try the thing out and share it. And so I built a fly rig, which is actually a pretty stable mechanism up there, so don't fear too much. But it holds
parents
me.
Are watching, and we should just give them the disclaimer that this harness is actually a harness made for the things that Josh is doing. So that's good. And yes, there we go.
Exactly. But so yeah, and we sort of, that little clip of the orientation shifting was sort of where we started kind of springboarding off and thinking about, okay, so let's try something. So obviously we were playing around a couple days ago. We haven't really built anything, and of course we were playing around this afternoon, but we have like a bunch of little thoughts and ideas and images, and so I'm just gonna hop in. And KR, kind of, do you want to like do any other filling in that needs to be done while I scramble to hook myself up?
Go scramble.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing. speaking of who just did that camera switching, we have, as you can see right now, our intern, Julia Labausch, who is here with us. Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Hi. So Julia is actually going to be doing all of the camera switching and kind of controlling everything here. So really thrilled to have you. Thank you for being here. It allows us to make this really live and present, and that's really exciting. So again, we're sort of doing this really spontaneously. Usually everything that we do is like programmed to the second. And so this is really happening right now. All right, you need this. And let's go into the behind the scenes shot. And here we go. KR, take it away.
So a few things that I wanted to say, which is, part of, because everything's programmed within a second, in order for us to like do the storytelling that we're really excited about doing, still people just like do not believe us that we're doing things live. So it felt exciting to bring you into our rehearsal process and let you watch us create something totally from scratch. They're in the like exact way that we make most of our like short form pieces, which is like a tiny little idea. And then we just sort of explode it out. Oh, Sonia says, "Hi, Julia. This will look great on your resume."
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, Katie Rose, speaking of
I'm
chatting.
Yep.
Do it.
Let here
Sonia
we go.
just reminded me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're really excited about that. And to do it live in this format that we usually do, which is YouTube. So those of you who have seen our pieces before, we love to keep the chat lively. So feel free to hop in and say hi. I'm managing the chat, so every once in a while I'll interrupt Josh to like read something. And also what we would love is if you have any ideas of things that, if you see something that seems exciting to you, or if you want us to try something, like now is your opportunity to just put it in the chat and we'll make it happen. I will also say that because of the internet and internet lag, what we are doing is 30 seconds in the future, or like 25 to 35, depending on where the internet is at any given moment. So it'll take a little bit between you making the request and us doing it. But we're really excited to do anything that you can imagine, which is sort of what we do. Yeah. So something, why don't we start where we sort of started playing, which was this like idea of the gravity existing the way it is. You're standing on a chair using.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's a little dangerous up here. That was it.
Josh also has like a
not really.
very active inner monologue, which is fantastic whenever he performs pieces. Oh God, what's happening?
I just gotta clean up the straps. Okay. There we go. That's better. Okay, here we go.
So can you do the tippy side to sidey? Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
Can you relax your shoulders a little bit more?
Yep. There we go.
Make it look easy.
There we go.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. And then do the slow one all the way over. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go.
And then lift your foot closest to one up.
Ooh, let me do that better.
Yeah. Great. Can you look at your foot while you, yeah, exactly. And then put it back down. And then, but keep looking at your feet. You're just like, oh, what happens if I lift this foot up? Oh, nothing. Great. And then what if you lift that foot up and then lift the other one up?
Well, that should work.
Oh yeah, make sure that the chair is, yeah.
Hold on. Oh, I figured out the trick there.
Whoa. Awesome.
using
And then like, oh shit, what just happened? Go back to neutral. Yeah. Yeah. And there's something quite beautiful when you like look at your feet while you do that, where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, like I lift this foot up and it's fine. I lift this foot up. What happens if I lift this foot up? Oh my God. Then like, whoop. Sort of like, yeah. Like in why can't I think of the name? In cartoons where they like run off a cliff and they keep running for a while and then they realize that they're like off a cliff and then they fall.
Oh, totally.
Great. Whew. Great. And then can you go straight back? Bring the chair straight back and lift your feet up right away.
Yeah, sure. So there.
Oh, I actually just go back, but go back to the diagonal.
Oh. Back to the diagonal.
Yep,
Both
and then
feet.
lift your feet up, and then but do the thing that we were doing this afternoon, where you're dangling your feet closer to one.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, but let them move a little bit as you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go. And now I can take my arms off. Not bad.
Oh yeah, actually, I think you should dangle your feet a little bit first, and then lift your hands up.
Yeah. So I'm here. Oh, nice rotation there, Julia.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then lift your hands up.
Whoa.
What?
There we go.
Hey, what happens if you then just like kick the chair forward and then Julia like grabs it out of the closet?
Sure. Hold on. Ready? Let's see if this works. Ready? Hoop.
Nailed it.
Yep, that was great.
Seamless.
Really fantastic work, everybody.
Great. So those of you following along at home, you'll also notice that there's a little closet in the corner, and that is the live feed. So that is what is actually happening. And then using this computer program, Isadora is just like running a program with the live camera feed.
Izzy.
So that's what you're seeing. Oh yeah, let's show Izzy.
There we go.
There she is. So this is the computer program. We always joke that it's like that movie Simple Mind. What is that?
Beautiful Mind?
Beautiful Mind. Beautiful Mind. Beautiful Mind. Great. That's gorgeous, Josh. Anybody?
Oh, yeah, we got some chatting.
Yeah. So I was like, somebody give us a request. Also, Sonia says, wow, that rig is really invisible. You're attached to the closet roof somehow, right? No, he's actually attached like right where his belt is. Yeah, right above, if you see. Josh, will you put your hand on it actually? Because Josh painted it white and you can't see it. There, that's it. Yeah. So make some requests if you want. We'll keep playing around. Josh, since Jared's here, can we bring him in and see if he wants to play too?
Absolutely. Of course he's welcome.
Hi everybody. I'm also live on Instagram.
Hi Instagram.
Just keeping it there. Yeah.
And remember we do have that track from Alex. If we want to play with that. And we've got some other tools to touch with. I kind of feel like
we should just not use the chair at all right now and just do some floaty stuff.
Yeah.
Can you do, okay, if you put your feet flat on 3.
Yes.
Can you bring them a little bit? Yeah, exactly. And then can you put your head as far down as you possibly can? Great. Cool. Yeah, that looks great. And keep it down. Keep your head forward. Exactly. Great. And then can you do another scratch? Because the scratch looks so nice.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, keep your head down. And then bring your hands together again, like you had them before. And then can you sit up without looking at us so that you're like, for a second, you're like, I think someone's looking at me. So don't go so far up. Stay forward just a little bit, but like spidey senses. And then can you look up at the camera? And by up, I mean forward. Can it be a little bit more chin up?
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. And then from there, can you actually just sort of like lay back so that you're like fully on 3? Yeah.
Oh, I love that shift in perspective.
Yeah, me too. Julia, can you add the the rotation in? I feel like there's like maybe some good timing with that. Sonia says maybe have a scary small thing in the closet too, which we can't see, but Josh can. I'm like, what? Like what, Sonia? What do you mean? And then Ethan says, since the closet is all white, are you able to use chroma key?
Oh, we are. I'd have to hop down and play with that, but yeah.
Yes,
Without
we
a doubt.
are. Ethan, if you have any specific requests, Josh will have to hop down in order to do it, but it's something that we play with.
Yeah, it's not perfect because of the shadows here, but yeah, it's totally doable.
And the only thing, Ethan, we'll actually show you. Josh will hop down, and either before the Q&A or something, we'll show you. Gorgeous, Josh. Yeah, can you go back to the flat thing again, the change in perspective? Like, I wonder if we can you float though? Imagine that you're like laying in a bathtub.
Oh.
Or like a
this?
swimming pool, not with your hands behind your back.
Oh.
Too casual. I want it like floaty, like you're a magic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see. I'm just in a pool. Yeah.
You're in a pool.
Magic pool.
Great. Yeah. So I wonder what happens if you start. Yeah. Gorgeous.
I don't know why this feels so Sistine Chapel to me.
What do you mean you don't know why? It's so Sistine Chapel. It's so Sistine Chapel.
Yeah.
Can the people see? Yeah, you can kind of see. You can. Okay, Julia, can you go back to single closet, rotation, and then
You're good.
Can you actually go back to just vertical?
Oh, wait, I think I have to. Now we're in a Klex world. I'd have to go and fix this, but
it's like a bonkers Plex world.
Oh yeah, it's just overlays. Yeah, can I hit the ladder?
Yeah, Caitlin and Sonia, give me some suggestions of small scary thing that we can't see but Josh could. I'm curious about what we're thinking. Like, are we thinking like small chainsaw?
Like a squirrel.
Are we thinking like a white squirrel?
Just a squirrel, yeah.
Also, Jared, anytime you want to hop in and play with us, please.
No pressure.
More than welcome to.
There we go. We're fixed there.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Jared.
Oh, man, this is awesome to watch you guys work.
What are we doing?
This is rad.
All right, I was going to chroma key, but do we want to chroma key? Do we want to try that? Or Jared, did you have anything
sure.
you wanted to?
I was really enamored by the shift in perspective. I was thinking about dreams of how like all of a sudden you're falling, but then you're floating, but then you're sitting, and then and you know what I mean, and like just trying to like play around with those transitions as opposed to just flipping from one to the other. Like, what does it mean to be sitting and then feel the world release, the gravity release, and all of a sudden you're floating and flying?
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I'm pulling some random texture at random here for a sec, and we're just gonna see.
So I want to keep reading comments. Sonia was like, I think because there's no music, I want there to be mime. Also, he's stuck on the wall, so he can't escape whatever the small scary thing. And then Ethan says, what actors are used to trigger each effect? Is it different gate actors connected to the projector actor? And then Sonia says a deranged zombie squirrel. And then Caitlin says, yes, zombie squirrel. And then Ethan says, can you chroma key it while on the fly rig so that you're falling a la dream sequence from ViDCo?
I could.
This is a Samuel Beckett script right here. Just
Yeah,
reading
that-
those comments.
That got amazing.
And then Tanya says, wait, now there's a chair in the closet. Where did
there
that
we
come
go.
from? Was it always there? It was not always there. That was what Josh used to get down. I think we were just like in a different camera view, so you didn't maybe notice the ladder coming in, but Julia brought the ladder in for Josh so that Josh could come down.
Right now, my skin and the closet are a little close. So, like, this is the best I'm getting on the fly. But yeah, you know, you can kind of see something that's happening here.
There's something really interesting, Ethan, that we've found in working with both chroma key and sort of like any real effect flattens the closet to such an extent that it makes it look even more fake. Like we have such a hard, you know, liveness is something that we talk about a lot because people are like, oh, that's a really great video that you made. And we're like, no. We're doing this live because we're insane. And Josh is fucking brilliant and can do all the programming to make it possible. Josh, it looks beautiful.
Look, I'm falling into this texture. Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
What about-
what does falling look like?
What?
I'm curious too, a quick question for you about the liveness thing. What about the closet do you feel allows the audience to understand the liveness as opposed to this? What is the closet like adding? That's not me pushing on. I'm really interested. Like the closet itself is bringing you a sense of liveness.
The three. Oh yeah, you can go for it, Josh.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. Yeah, I mean, KR, you were actually about to just say it, right? The 3 rules?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
No, it's just
You
like
were sipping.
yeah, like it's so good. Well, this is insane. Well, the 3D-ness of it is something like the actual like lines of the closet we found are super helpful. Like even times where we've just used chroma key to like whiten up the closet and make it just brighter, it ruins the lens of it. Yeah. So Josh, talk about the rules.
Oh, sure. So when we first started making work, we kind of structured some rules. I'm just going to take the chroma key out for a bit, just to give us a place to work off of, but also to kind of like try and identify our sort of aesthetic of digital theatricality. And rule 1 was no cuts. Rule 2 was no close-ups. Yeah, no close-ups. And rule 3 was always to maintain this sort of frame. So you're seeing the full body, you're always seeing the edges of the frame and all the walls. And of course, we've broken all of those rules since, but what that did allow us was a sort of hyper liveness, right? Even if whether or not it was live or not, it was like playing with a cinematic liveness in terms of like a one-shot take. And so you could tell that everything was being done, at least in one go, in a concept of real time. And so I think that was really important to us. And in that respect also, because we started from such a physical theater place, and I think that's why KR and I really responded to the closet, as in terms of dance, in terms of movement, is that it creates a tension.
Julia,
we spoke about this earlier.
So you can see us.
Yeah. It creates a tension between the digital and the like extremely physical. And so it's a digital space that we can manipulate. We can do all sorts of things, but I can also like slam my body against a wall and you can feel that. There's there's actually a tactility to it, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Are we down, KR, or is there anything else you wanted to try?
I think that you should go back up.
Oh, okay. Great. We're in.
Awesome.
Thank you. You can see from this behind the scenes camera that we've got here that it's a really tight, confined space. This is truly a 4 feet wide, 8 feet tall. It's only 2 feet deep. The doors here give it a sort of optical illusion of greater depth, but it is very tight, and it is, I believe, 7 feet to the camera itself, and that's at like the other end of the room. So that's all we got right now. It's all we're working with.
It's awesome. Can I see you transition from like an eagle eye shot to then you falling?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I feel like be super indulgent about the transition of it. Like, feel the world shifting as opposed to just a quick
I love
shift.
that.
And Julia, will you start the rotation once Josh starts doing that?
Actually, can you set back to vertical? I want you to start the music.
Okay.
Nice.
And then our mics will be off, so you can just give me a 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Nice and slow, and then hit the rotate, and I'll respond off of that. Great.
Okay, pause.
Thank you.
Julia, can you bring it back to vertical? Great. Can you bring it to horizontal?
Yeah.
Josh, can you go sideways?
Yeah.
Sort of.
I know. I want you to do the whole head, like I'm sitting like this thing this way. Is that possible? Julia, can you bring in the camera feed?
Possible for about 20 more seconds.
You're not even in the position I want you to be in, though. I want you to be in that like head down, knees up thing. It's physically impossible.
Bird's eye. What?
Yeah, bird's eye view.
But like this way. Julia,
Impossible.
can you bring into that other
KR, impossible.
Great. Julia, can you hear me? Okay. So, great.
Yeah.
So, Julia, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you repeat what you were saying before?
Yeah, can you bring the live camera feed in?
Yes.
And then can you turn Josh back to vertical? Great. And then Josh, can you go back down to the like head down and do that whole sequence that like scratch your head and then
exactly.
Look to the side.
Yes.
And then like do your head scratch again, and then super slow spidey sense, and then super slow look up at us and just make sure that you bring that chin forward.
Yep.
And then from there, super slow, and Julia, as soon as he give him, I don't know, 3 long seconds when he brings his chin forward to then start the rotation as he does that. And super slowly, like Jared was talking about. And then Josh, I think you can really take some time in the first this thing before you then start discovering the space around you.
Okay, I gotcha.
Jared, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, one other thing, Josh, just from the viewer's point of view, I'm so used to knowing it's a closet that I need time to readjust where gravity exists while you're sitting there. So that's why, the longer you sit in that, my whole brain is shifted, and then you can fuck with us,
Sounds good.
So that's the wait for me.
All right, let's
Ethan,
try
I see
it.
your questions, and Josh will answer all of them when he gets down off of the rig.
Cool. Let's take it with music. Julia, I'll give you like a little further rotation to start. Thanks.
Go, Julia.
Nice. All right, reset it. Hey, sorry, I forgot to give Julia the cue because that was my bad.
I gave Julia the cue. She's supposed to,
Yeah,
supposed
I
to
heard.
go 3 seconds after the chin up.
Yeah, no, we gave muddled cues. It was my miscommunication.
Julia, can you give Josh the ladder?
Thank you.
Yes. I feel like, Jared, you're about to say what I was also thinking. So you say it first.
Okay, I had a thought. So it's awesome to watch you sit that way. I want you to, I like almost want you to like look at your wad, like give us a little bit more access to having an eagle eye shot, you know?
Sure.
But the shift in gravity, I think, needs to begin with your feet, like coming towards the camera. It's as if you're like your seat starts to float. So it's actually us you coming to us, like with one knee or with one foot raising up from what your floor is, which is the back wall, right? And then it starts to expand out. But I think I need to see your knees like lifting off the ground, and then one leg lifting and you realizing you're flying, but the access points haven't shifted yet, if that makes sense, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
KR, I wonder what you
Yep. Yeah, no. Yeah. You like, we both like, as soon as
I saw you do this.
You went back, we were both like,
yeah. Yeah, because the access, it felt like a jump cut as opposed to like watching the world shifting, because all of a sudden you were floating with your arms out. So that's why I wanted to see your 1 foot raise up, then a knee, and then all of a sudden your foot extend, and my brain would start to like shift the access points.
yeah. It's like we went from like 1 to 10, and we need like 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. It's a crossfade, and right now, probably for you, you're feeling a shift, but for us, it's a jump cut from that eagle eye perspective to all of a sudden.
No, that makes total sense. There has to be a better way than legs, because we know legs are very limited.
Well, I wonder because we're looking. Well, I don't know how others are watching, but I'm watching you, being like, wow, I'm literally looking above you, and I actually feel the presence of your knee.
Yeah.
Pretty significantly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to get back up.
If you
try
can, I have some ideas. Jared, it's not going to be exactly what you want, knowing the restraints of the harness that we currently have, hopefully we'll achieve, and then you can edit as necessary. So everything about the beginning, just like make that longer, and then Julia, just make sure that like 3 long seconds after Josh realizes that there's a camera over his head, that you can start the rotation. Actually, sorry, forget I said that. Do it when the next thing. So from the looking at the camera, Josh, can you, I can't, great, there.
Yeah.
Josh, can you, I'm trying to achieve this, Jared.
I totally know.
I mean,
Can you straighten one leg?
like I can straighten it that way.
Yeah.
Can you actually get that? Can you keep your knees? Doesn't quite work.
Yeah, Josh. Go back. Yeah. So also the other cool thing that we have, Jared, is this incredible. I keep calling it 3/4, which it's totally not. But he can go a little bit away from the wall. Josh, will you show Jared the cool other thing? Yeah.
What?
Like get out of what you're doing, just fly and then turn a little bit towards 5. Yeah. But he can get that way.
Oh,
too.
Interesting.
I can do depth,
Can you go from that seated position to that 5?
Yeah.
I don't know what 5 means, but
I mean,
Yeah. Well, what you just did though, that I feel the floor pull out from under you, which is interesting.
Yeah. What if you Josh, keep your feet on 3 and then just put your back up against 3?
can't do.
Oh, with your knees up?
Yeah, with my feet up, I can't. I can do back here like this. I can do, but I can't get my butt to the wall.
Oh no,
That I can do.
Fascinating. Can you lift one of your legs up? Crazy.
That's it.
Can you actually slide both of your feet from this position, which I'll fix, but can you slide both of your feet and then bring your arms up as you do that?
Uh-huh. So, yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would add, Josh, is can you go back to seated?
Yeah.
Do explore the leg a little bit, but not in a evolution, but in a repetition. It lifts a little and it goes back down. And you're like, what the fuck was that? And then you're starting to realize that you can break gravity. But I think repetition would be helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
Jared, I've never met someone who's just so in tune with the way that I think about art so quickly.
This is fun. I'm psyched to talk about this.
Yeah. I'm always Josh,
that's
do it again.
Totally.
You gotta do it again.
Well, you're training us. This is such a weird way to look at a closet.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Josh, keep your butt though against the wall. I think
the butt is what?
Yeah. I mean, you were doing you were adding a whole other element with that undulation. Yeah. So keep it in the 2 places that we know.
Yeah.
And I feel this is where instead of the head up in Julia turning it, I almost wonder if that position, the realization of the superpower of flying, is where the spin starts to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't until you're fully in your lay position.
Ungravitied.
Yeah.
There's some chat coming in.
Almost makes it like a cubicle to then break into the freedom of flying, which I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Sure. Julia, can I get the ladder? Thank you. Whew, well, I'm going to come down.
No, I'm just kidding.
Because I need a drink of water or something.
Ethan says almost looks like those old school mime acts where they walk into place. Totally. And Ethan, that's actually something that we've played with we did it in, why can't I think of the name of that piece? all the piece that we made with John with the illustration.
With the Quartet for the End of Time.
Yes,
No.
we did it in that, and we also did it in
One of
this like
those.
short form piece. Yeah, that's not the name of it. I don't know why I can't think of the name of it. And we also did it in a piece called "I Don't Have a Closet Here with Me," where it starts with like me teaching Josh a phrase, and then he like turns into. We like get rid of the closet actually, and then he walks. He just sort of like mime walks, and we move him across. But it's interesting because because of the limitations of it. Yeah. And Josh is such a good mime, so he can do it.
You know, to add to that too, I don't know all of your shorthands, but something that I talk about with my collaborators is like, it's so helpful to not give everything away and to make the audience have a sense of imagination so that they can glue what they're watching to a reality inside their head. And I think that goes back to like when you keyed out everything and it flattened the space, it was less imagination for me as a viewer.
Yeah, totally.
And so I could become a lot more passive in what I was watching, as opposed to just watching Josh, you walk in place right there. I'm aware you're in a closet. I'm aware that you're walking in place, but I believe that you're moving.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and that's actually, Jared, something we talk about a lot in our pieces is sort of making sure that we're not necessarily teaching the environment to the audience, but that we're allowing them to explore the world generously before we try to give them, like you said, too much information or new information. Which is exciting because also something that we really contend with is because it's on a computer screen and people can turn it off whenever they want, trying to keep it moving and trying to keep it shifting and morphing and changing and being like exciting, while at the same time allowing for that theatricality of like teaching the environment, totally. Which is a really fun
Well, it's almost like, I mean, we're so good in theater about doing exposition of characters and like conflict, and we're not as attuned to like compositional exposition or technical exposition of like, they need to meet and understand the conflict and tension before just launching into it. That's why we don't start in theater with the conflict. I mean, maybe, you know, unless you subvert the whole thing. But I love thinking about that with digital, is we have to like circumnavigate movie making, photography, all these things that are like, I know how this is done. It's like, you don't. So how do we create an exposition to that?
Yeah.
Which like limiting yourself to the closet, every time you do another thing, there's less time to create that compositional exposition. And here you are with like a new technology of the harness. So you're like exploring new exposition with new technology, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for jumping in and
playing. That was awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, Jared is just an incredible director, designer, thinker of all things and performer of all things digital. I was going to pull up your bio, and then I just decided to do it extemporaneously. Though I do have the fact that you're co-directing and multimedia designing We Declare You a Terrorist at the Roundhouse Theatre, which is right outside D.C., written by Tim Lord. And that is coming up. When is that coming up?
It'll be mid-April. We start previews at the beginning of April, and it's in person, but we're using cameras. We're actually having, I call it local Zoom. So there's going to be performers that actually never get to the stage, but they're down in the green room in a back tech closet, and we're creating kind of a technological way of communicating to and from each other. It's about a hostage situation. So I wanted to our idea is to exclude people from shared space and maybe see how an audience, after 2 years of experiencing that, what that'll feel like when they're finally in a place, but we're restricting them from getting full access to each of these characters.
Cool.
So, I love that. I mean, this brings up this question of tools, and already we're talking in sort of a digital, and I know you and I have spent way too much time pretending like, or attempting to come up with a better name. Like, what is the name for this thing we're doing? But that being said, you know, we're talking about it in contrast to film or in contrast to in person even. And I guess I'm just interested where you found like the greatest excitement in the tools here that we're using within digital performance and digital capture.
I think it's when I become acutely aware of your space and me being unable to be in your space. I've seen so much digital performance during the pandemic where the performer first and foremost tried to erase the space that they were in. They put up a screen behind them, they put up and as a result, like we saw when we keyed your closet out, that's why I was asking that question earlier, is for me to understand that this camera here is actually binoculars to a place I can't get to, becomes a different sense of risk and connection, as opposed to me just watching something, And so I think that the most exciting is when I realize on the other end of this camera is a world I don't have access to. There's a commitment there to co-presence. There's a commitment there to witness something and learn something from my space. And I think also some of the really exciting stuff is when the performance also is able to help me recognize that I'm in a space that you can't get to. And so all of a sudden the camera dynamic becomes a two-way street of two inaccessible spaces, and you could never bring them together. So I'm interested about that with how communities that can never see each other. I was talking to a friend who works as an artist in residence at Rikers. This is a space that like you can't do that in a theater. You can't bring those types of communities together with local communities, but we can in this fashion. So when we become really aware of that connectivity, I would never want to turn that off, but I'll turn it off if I see something that I don't feel like it's granting me access to something.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because I feel like this sort of revelation of spaces that say I can't get into makes me think so much of your piece at the Vineyard, which like you were in literally a haunted house somewhere, and like the revelation, was that the Vineyard? No,
that Vineyard was about
Vineyard was your dad.
Loss and grief. Someone else's house with Geffen.
There we go. It's Geffen.
Yeah.
Apologies.
No,
but again, like you were literally like the revelation of where exactly you were was so deeply embedded in the dramaturgy of that story.
Well, and the risk that I was playing with was the glitching of the Wi-Fi, bad Wi-Fi. So embracing the fact, like, I'm not trying to erase that we are over the web, but as you're seeing me become more in harm's way and my camera starts to glitch out, therein lies the conflict. It's a technical conflict, and that's exciting because it embraces the entire form. And I think that's where it gets really exciting, when people are embracing the tools that they have, as opposed to ignoring and then just trying to replace the thing that they can't do in person here. It's like, well, it's a different instrument, and I think theater is really exciting to bring to this, as you guys do so well, which is like bring liveness to the table, because everyone else uses these tools not for liveness. They're using it for replication, duplication, edit, having an editor, post storyteller. You're saying, no, the storyteller's enough and the audience can be here with them. And that's like thrilling. And that's what theater brings to the table here.
Yeah. Speaking of tools, we have so many questions in the chat.
Let's do it.
Which I just want to make sure that we get to. I'm going to go super technical first, speaking of tools. Sure. We did chroma key. Okay, what actors are used to trigger each effect? Is it just different gate actors connected to the projector actor?
Yeah. That's where we do
busy so that you
sure,
can also sort of describe it as your.
And while he's pulling it up, just so people know, when they say actor, that's each of these nodes in Isadora. It's not another. There's not like 500 humans behind the closet.
Well, I'm sorry you can't, Jared. You can't see this right now because I didn't send this to the Zoom feed.
Yeah, you did. We can see it.
Oh, you can.
see
You're
it.
seeing it on you're seeing it on me. Oh, funny. So there it is. Yeah. So what we've got right now is these are each individual actors. I'm waving the chroma key actor right now, going into projector here, and this is where we do things a little bit differently than, say, a video, any video designer working on a stage. Is that we are effectively turning Isadora into just like a production studio, right? And so we are basically sending a bunch of different video feeds to different projectors, and yeah, just putting a ton of effects and triggers and movements on that. Everything's connected to QLab through OSC. We're getting real technical here. Similarly, oh wow, I'm gonna try something and see how this. Similarly today, I've built a little control panel for Julia here, so Julia is able to camera switch and put all of that pretty seamlessly. So yeah, that's what's going on. Ethan and I are on an email chain, so I can get much more.
We actually also have a lot of students from UMD. I'm watching on the YouTube, so I think a lot of people will make sense. Will understand that. Though you're really messing with my my mentorship confidence, because your patches are so clean and mine are a disaster. So
I promise they're not.
I'm gonna see them tomorrow, and they're gonna be like, Josh is capable of making very clean patchwork, and I'm going to have to dismantle that.
We're all capable of it. In this instance,
this is the cleanest I think I've ever seen.
I made this clean because I knew someone else would be operating it, so I had to make it clean. Usually, when I'm overnighting, which is a term we're using now, when I overnight on a project,
I was just talking about how
messy.
We do rehearsal and then we overnight the programming, and by overnight the programming, I mean Josh stays up all night programming.
Yeah, so that gets really messy. So yeah, no pressure. KR, keep those questions coming.
So many more questions. Ethan asked, I'm gonna, does showing the Izzy files during performance increase liveness by showing backstage? Totally, though also we have to explain what Izzy is. You can see our show 9 o'clock problem that actually features Izzy a little bit. It features our because of liveness, sometimes computer failure and internet failure and all of the things that can go wrong with technology is very much featured in that piece. So encourage you to check that out.
Everything failed.
Joseph asks, when you do premieres in the free playback in the archives, do you have a preference for whether people watch full screen or not, headphones or not, chat at the expense of full screen? And also Rory adds to that, or phone screen with a similar aspect ratio to the closet.
Okay, I'll answer the question.
That's a really
keep
good
going.
question.
Sorry.
And then I know it's such a good question. And then Ethan also adds to that. That's probably why the closet works so good. It's such a mundane, non-mediatized starting point for an audience before heading off into digital craziness.
Wow. These are such good questions, and brings up a bigger question about platforms in general.
Johnny Lloyd says things can go wrong.
Shut up, Johnny. Yeah, it brings up the bigger question of platforms and how platforms function and what each individual platform, their strengths and weaknesses are, right, as storytelling devices. So that I think is interesting for us to get to. But I want to say we don't have a preference. I mean, the thing is we like that chatting can happen because obviously that gives that sort of that sense of a liveness of community, right? I think what I love and why I was so insistent early on with our rules in terms of maintaining that frame is that no matter what, you saw the closet. And I always bring up Mike TV from Willy Wonka, right? You could always pluck me from the closet, and it's not like you'd pluck off half of my torso. I was always a full body. So that was important to me in terms of framing. Of course, I'd prefer if you watched it full screen. And I think more and more, at least in the work that we're doing and starting to conceive of, we're playing with 3D a little bit now, literally like anaglyph 3D. That becomes even more important thinking about the framing of how you are watching, because we're going to want to mess around with your framing, so we have to be intentional with it. The problem here that we have is, of course, that we chose YouTube. We chose it as our platform, and it's limited in some ways, and it's wonderful in others. It is wonderful in that it is ubiquitous, and it is a site that even grandparents are very excited and capable of getting on. And so there's a lot less of that early like onboarding of your audience.
Do you find, Josh, that do you enjoy the pluralism of someone being able to watch YouTube on phone and on TV and on computer? Do you find that people are giving you feedback about differences between all of them?
It's funny. I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone watching it on their phone. I'm sure people have, but people haven't talked to me about it. I'm always shocked when someone's watching it on their TV, because to me it's just so computer based. Which is why
we get a lot of pictures of people actually watching it on, like putting it on a TV screen.
Mm-hmm. We're excited to start making stuff for phones, and that's kind of where we're playing.
Well, it's really exciting, to what Ethan was saying on the chat too, like the idea of the closet being a perfect ratio of the phone. And it's interesting, right? Like, yes, the phone is smaller, but the phone is tactile as opposed to a screen on your wall. And so like the joy of being able to like hold on to the closet is, it could be really exciting in terms of that kind of co-presence,
It's definitely something that we desire playing with a lot.
Cool.
And truly like the ability to like turn it on its side, so long as the screen is locked and I'll fall, that sort of thing we can play with and are working on it.
Cool.
Again, if we all had the glasses, I'd show you.
I also, it's like, I want to like totally geek out with the idea of, I don't know, like with the phone being able to do this and then this is what you're doing in Isadora. Yeah. And it spins you. And I'm just like, there's something about that that's super. I wish that you could get that, if it was an audience of one, get that feedback back to you to know that that's happening and like respond to it. So all of a sudden you're like, boom, boom, boom.
We'll keep chatting.
Josh is like,
yeah.
It's something that we've talked about and have a very strong desire to like actually, make happen.
Oh.
Well, because I think theater audiences it's a limited conversation, I'm feeling, of like, but we want to clap, but we want to laugh. And it's like, totally, that sounds great. But also, is this technology only going to remind you that you're not together when you're doing those same actions? And are there other actions inside the technological space that are the equivalent of applause and the equivalent of laughter? And I'm not sure what that is, but that's where my head is. It's like, well, why try and laugh together when it's better to do that in a fields together, and
that's why actually the chat has been so helpful in our experience, is because it's been for a moment, especially when things go wrong, unfortunately, is when the chat gets the best, because people are like, it's okay, you can do it. And Josh is losing his mind and trying to fix a problem. And I'm like, how can I help from my apartment in Harlem? And the chat just like explodes, where people all of a sudden are all feeling the same thing at the same point in time. And we're all sort of like leaning in a really exciting way. Would love to achieve that without things going wrong. Also, Joseph says, shake the phone and it snows. Brilliant idea.
That's something that is that's a lot
codable.
Easier than
Ethan says, with digital leading to increased interactivity, what happens if two interactions cancel out, i.e. two different people tilting the camera in different ways?
Right.
We're gonna figure this out.
I think there's something really beautiful about the simultaneity of two truths existing at the same time. That two people can have slightly different experiences in how they're doing their phone. And it's that like gets my head in a knot of like, it's a singular storyteller with multiple audiences, and we have trained ourselves in theater to tell those audiences to all focus on one. But what if we push that back and say, no, you each can have your own experience? What does that do to the storyteller who's singular, you know?
I mean, truly, you think about theater for one, you think about pieces that are built for single audience members. I mean, with some sort of responsive device that is telling me with a single person moving a phone, it's very doable. Or you think about, what was that? Was it Midsummer or Tempest? One of those in England. It was Midsummer, right? They tried every audience member was a Firefly, right? And again, that's where you're contending with that issue of like, we want the audience to be involved, we want them to be present, but how do we allow them to, do what an audience does, which is do its own thing, while we're maintaining some semblance of control? And maybe the issue is that one must yield control. But it
Ethan
does
says, so create parallel universes streams based on how you choose to interact. Mind blown.
Yeah, there we go. This brings me to this question, or this thought about, we talk about liveness all the time. We talk about liveness all the time in the sense of what we're doing and how we're presenting. But I also wonder if, in some cases, what the audience craves is their own liveness. Right?
Oh man, yeah, we had a conversation like last week in class about this, of the difference between liveness, and co-presence, and that for me, live is important for me as an artist. I want it to be live. With On the Beauty of Loss with Vineyard, I wanted that drive to be live. I had people tell me, I don't know if I needed it to be live, and I kept responding and saying I did. Like, I needed it to know that, so that I could provide the audience with a energetic liveness that they can't quite compute, but they're feeling that, right? That if I can add as much live elements to this, then liveness starts to increase for the audience. And so my students, when we were in class, were saying, well, what if to do something live is for the artist's sake, and to have liveness is for the audience's sake? And both of those are a commitment to co-presence, to commit to that moment in time and space, to say, we will consume this together at the same time and block everything else out. Yeah. And like, that to me is like, that's what it is. So at that point, I'm like, I don't care if it's theater. I just I care about those three things.
Exactly.
Totally. And that's something that we definitely, I think, contended with when we started. Like, I remember, Josh, when we were working on planning, which had projection on the closet, and was like, actually, it had another dancer. And we were like, oh, actually, and when we rehearsed it with like her live with Josh. So there were two things happening, and we really wanted to.
Can I just summing it up? We were projecting a dancer from their own apartment, literally giant, into the closet. It covered the entire closet. Go ahead.
Gorgeous. And all of our rehearsals were live, but we could not figure out how to, like, we just didn't have the technology. We didn't have the computer yet to make it possible. And we kept trying. And at a certain point in time, we were like, we're losing, we have to make sure that we maintain the integrity of the piece. And at what point in time do we lose the integrity of the piece in an effort to do this thing? And at one point in time, do we have to just like cut our losses, continue to move forward, and then know that that's a goal that we need to achieve in 3 pieces from now?
And now we can achieve that easily. That's like the least of our problems.
Yeah.
That being said, I want to point out that in that rehearsal was the greatest moment of liveness we've ever experienced, which was pure theater and pure cinema simultaneously, if not maybe just pure life. It was the dancers, something went wrong with the phone, with Emily's phone. And so Emily ran downstairs to talk to her husband, Gavin, who's a sound designer we work with, except she takes the phone with her, and the video is still on and is projecting right into my closet in giant scale. And then they start having a conversation, except we can't hear what they're saying. And it just becomes this like gorgeous French New Wave movie projecting into my closet that I'm standing and dancing to. And it was so intimate. It was an intimacy I have never encountered.
And that that like is a whole other realm of this, which actually isn't for the audience at all, which is like, how do you create rehearsal space? How do you create process that involves liveness so that playfulness, improvisation can take place? Because with too much storyboarding and too much like seeing into the future, you have no sense of like this moment and error bringing out a new idea. And that's what theater is. It's like, let's get a bunch of sheets, some chairs, and some people together and like fuck around, and then you discover how to make Everest. So like, how do you create that sense of play? And that might not be for the show itself. That might just be to get in a room and improvise, you know?
But there's the beauty of the format, right?
Right.
That unlike, and truly unlike in person where we have to tape down sets. We have to, you know, it's so costly to bring everything into a space and work with it and workshop in that respect. Here, with, you know, minimal cost, we're able to access so many tools. And I think we've found a particular a flow wherein we're able to bring all of our designers and our entire team together and showcase everything we're capable of and able to work with our full toolbox. You know,
I love it.
And that's, and to me, that's the major benefit on a process level. You are able to work at a full production scale very early on. And we also committed, I mean, this is our cheat, obviously, to, I pipe all my dialogue to my ears so I don't have to memorize anything. But again, that's a useful tool and one I've considered using in person, just in rehearsal rooms, because again, it allows your actor immediately to get off book and immediately, like, you get past that awkward moment where it's, you know, it's not quite a performance. And suddenly you're like, oh yeah, it's day 2. I'm on my feet. I don't have a script, and I can fully embody everything that's happening.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I with On the Beauty of Loss, I don't know if I told you this, but I didn't start with a script. I started with Isadora software of like different cues and looks, and I would kind of randomly jump around. I was operating my own show, and I would jump around to a scene, and it would bring up an image, and I would just improvise. But on Zoom, we had live transcript on. So my dramaturg would be like, hey, what you said there off the cuff is great. And we're like, great, we can copy and paste the live transcript. It's now in the script, you know, and like how to create. So almost inverted to what you're saying, that it also can record. And so you can improvise, and you're not having someone like, oh my God, what did they say? Can you stop for a second? You can just kind of go, and like, there was crap that came out, and then there was like 3 sentences that just popped up, and we had it all in live transcript. So I was like, man, Zoom's amazing for that.
You know,
like
again, these are the beautiful things about digital, right? These are the things that
we'll get to your question in just a little bit. Josh, keep going.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Like, I feel like in rehearsal rooms prior, it was considered super gauche to record stuff in so many ways. I mean, Katie Rose, maybe dance, that's very different. But
I feel like as a choreographer, I actually sort of, I mean, it's still not like, it's not really kosher, but like I do like have to record things because the actors are like, hey, can you just like, so I can remember this thing?
Yeah.
And it's so helpful. Like, we know that it's a helpful tool.
Yeah,
totally.
And so suddenly improvisation has become such a more significant portion of our process because we're able to capture everything. And something can be so fleeting, so microscopic, that we are able to look at it and go, yeah, let's do that. Let's make the whole piece that, in a way that it would be totally lost in a rehearsal room. Yeah.
Well, and it's like allowing technology to do what it does better than us, so that we can be better than technology. By being more human. Like, the amount of work I have to be in my head to get off book or to remember the movements that I just did so that I can recall that later is something a piece of technology can do effortlessly. And so if I know that that's not a part of the noise in my head, I can then just totally be free. Now, all of a sudden, being human is even better.
Yes.
Yeah.
KR, let's hit more questions. What do we got?
Shelley said, had the event at the library taken place as scheduled, what would that have been like? How are you going to deal with people in real life?
Those people.
Well, I mean,
Those people.
I'm so glad that Jared, you're like way ahead of us in this respect. So we were going to do it at the library. This was going to be just sort of a baby step for us. It was a one-off in an auditorium, not a theater. So we have a second mobile closet that we've used before. It has been at La Mama, has been at Theater Me Too. We were going to put that on stage with a couple video screens and effectively just do a couple of our shorts. And so you would see, similar to what is right here, you'd be able to see the sort of unadulterated closet and the action that's happening within there. And then you'd also be able to see on video screens how we're making all these manipulations and the difference between the two. And there's some pieces of ours where that's really fun because the contortions and the gravity shifts are really playing against each other. Or in terms of those images. So that was going to be our library piece. We were just going to do that. In some ways, this is a digital echo of that, right? This is our way of trying to show the strings, and I'm going to try and camera switch on the go here to pretend as if I'm I'm not the one doing it anyway. I'm back here in Zoom. That was a failure. But
Josh, we're also getting our first bots. I'm like having to delete comments, which is crazy.
Oh, bots? Well, they happen.
Yeah. No, it's never happened to us in a live performance before.
No, it happens.
I feel
in
very
comment
much like,
sections.
oh, thank God, here we are.
Yeah. Well, there's always bots in our comments once videos are posted. It's fine.
Oh yeah, totally. That's but it's never happened, and it's like pretty.
Yeah. So
constant.
anyway, that's what we were going to do at the library. But in terms of in person, I mean, so there's obviously that step for us, which is just taking what we've already built and sort of exposing the seams. Beyond that is kind of where, Jared, you're already playing in a sandbox of devising original work built for an in-person /hybrid/streaming audience. And that's really exciting, right?
Yeah, the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm going to stop reading comments for a little bit. Keep going.
Well, to me, that's where I get really excited by. I haven't really cracked the code because this is actually a simultaneity of two totally different stories. But what does it mean over the summer, I run a children's theater, Andy's Summer Playhouse, and we did a show where the kids were inside the theater and the audience were in lawn chairs outside, and we had multiple cameras inside, and we piped that to a projector for a live drive-in movie theater experience. And they made movies live, and sometimes the doors would swing open, the kids would run into the parking lot, run back in. But social distance, we're still unsure, and there's kids younger than vaccination at the space. So there was a lot of complications. And I was like, well, if we keep them separate, we could use technology to connect them, but have them local, which is really exciting. We had a photographer, one of the dads, inside, and he was watching the almost synchronized swimming of what's behind the camera. There's 30 kids in the piece, so they had to line up, miss the frame, jump in, and he was taking photos being like, you need to sell tickets to this. And so all of a sudden we were looking at what does it mean to have cameras inside that show that. So when you see the show in person, you have a yearning to see the stream, and vice versa. And that they supply you different information, not just a pipeline towards performance, but they in their own rights are their own performance. And is story clear in both? And art, and if so, can they also be different stories? Can you tell two totally different stories by having a stream inside of it, so that it's not just a camera on the back balcony getting access into a space, but it's actually a different vantage point. And there's so much about equity and empathy inside of that that's interesting too. As opposed, I don't know, there's something lovely about that, about what cameras can do for that as well. So that it's not just the people who cannot be there can, it's people who are there want to know more, and vice versa,
KR, what you were? There was a question flub. There was an issue, or comment.
What?
A chat. Something was going on in the chat.
Oh, would it have been like a Katie Mitchell type of thing? Ethan asked in reference to our live show.
Oh, I don't know if I even know Katie Mitchell. Do I know Katie Mitchell?
Jared, do you know Katie Mitchell? Yeah, you have to. Ethan, we
Well,
gotta
Ethan,
Google it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send me a link.
And
I think Manual Cinema is a really great example in terms of the library show, in terms of the work that they do, kind of showcasing the making of simultaneous with the filming, the film.
And also just like really like SNL is always our sort of like big example of like watching the cameras move and watching the people do the things. Like taped in front of a live studio audience is always our sort of reference point when we start thinking about these like baby steps that we're taking.
Yeah. Jared, question. What's the biggest technical disaster you've ever faced?
Oh God, yes. So fun.
In person or?
No, digital.
Oh, digital. The biggest, well, during Russian Troll Farm, there is a scene, there's a whole part where a character who is kind of egomaniac, he's one of the trolls that is peddling all these stories out there. He gets off on like fantasy worlds and like really loves to like he's an adrenaline junkie. And so there's a whole part, there's like a 30-minute section inside Steve's head of like Fantasia of like Adult Swim style stuff. And right in the middle of it, and all the other characters we put their faces on these like cutouts and stuff and like push them around. And he's the puppeteer of this whole fantasy of the other characters. And he kind of like abuses them. And it's very grotesque and crude. At one section, he imagines one of the female characters as his like toy. And he was like, and he goes through this kind of sexual fantasy, and Isadora crashed right there, and I couldn't hear anything anymore because it was all a live cut of everything, and I couldn't hear anymore. They were all on Zoom, but my OBS was still open, so their audio was piped to the live stream, but I couldn't hear anything. Oh. So I was going through all of the like fixing everything. He just saw a black square, so he thought we were down. So he went on the most aggressively offensive fantasy, thinking like, well, I'm going to just keep in the mode. But the whole audience heard it. And he was talking about like how sexually charged he was, that the computers exploded and the software crashed. And he kind of was like tongue-in-cheeking it. And it was like 45 seconds of this. And then I came back on and I had no idea. So I wasn't thrown by it. But the playwright was texting me being like, what is going on? Because it was just a black screen. And it worked inside that section. But it was like panic, like total panic. So it was funny that he held that.
There needs to be a fail safe that when things fail, everything fails. Like you want it all to turn off.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this happens more often than not. This issue of like something fails somewhere, but not everywhere. And you think it's all turned off, but it's not.
It's not. And it's always the fucking mic is still
It's the mic. It's the microphone. It's the microphone.
So many,
There needs to be a panic as soon as something fluctuates.
So many times.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I'm gonna spill a secret here. I hope none of my colleagues are gonna look into this. But I have built in Isadora a bunch of ways in which if I have a meeting and I ordered Seamless or something, but I don't want to leave, or if I have to do multiple things at once, maybe I have 2 meetings at the same time. What I'll do is I'll be listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I just freeze framed it.
Yeah.
And then in Isadora, I have a second feed that you can't see that I can line myself back up with this and like get it pretty close to then keep going. So I can actually leave and come back and line myself up and just keep going. So I'm kind of using the fact that everyone thinks that everything fails all the time. And sometimes if I know that's going to happen, I know. It's true.
Capture a real long loop of just nodding, and you don't even have to be there at all for that meeting.
But if I know that I need to step away for a sec, then before that I'll talk, and I will, talk like this and keep going. and they're like, wait, Jared, and I'm like, oh, really? Is it working now? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I can hear you the whole time. And they're like, oh, well, as long as you can hear. And I was like, yeah, totally. And they're like, oh, it looks like he's frozen. Well, let's keep going. But this is all in Isadora.
That's dirty.
Evil genius.
It's good. So I want to sell it on Etsy or something now that we're all digital. It's like,
oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I just gave away some goods.
Oh, it's so good. Joseph asked Josh, how long did it take you to train yourself to work with the in-ear dialogue? Any tips?
Oh, I want to know that question. Yeah.
It's I mean, not that long. It's something I had been working with anyway, theatrically, prior to the pandemic, because it's a tool that's used, I think, quite frequently in downtown theater, particularly in terms of working with like audio tracks where you're trying to replicate a certain like vocal style or technique or rhythm. For instance, like in capturing the Is This a Room? They capture every cough. Dana H. Like these are pieces that worked with. You worked on Dana? No, wait. I'm gonna. Yeah.
No, but I saw it and I loved it. Yeah.
Misha worked on Dana H.
There it is. Yes, yeah. Misha. So like, it's a technique that's used, and we're just sort of adapting it in a slightly bastardized way. And turning it into just a rehearsal performance tool in general. And in that respect, it's quite easy. You just plug in something and start repeating. It's not
quite easy though, Josh.
Yeah,
like you are very, very good at it. Like
thank you. I'll take that.
Joseph, it is difficult. And you have to just basically like train your brain to do, basically have to train your brain to shut off.
It's a lot of this.
And once once you step forward into that, you can just like keep going.
Eric Berryman said it was very meditative. And I'd say, yes, I'm good at it, but we've worked with a bunch of different actors and they've all been able to adapt. So it is possible to like jump in and you pretty much get it. And it's very hard with two performers because you have two lines of dialogue going in your ear. So it's four voices. So that's actually almost impossible. But it's zen. Yeah.
What's the tech behind it? What is the is it a like 1/8 of a second, a 1/16 of a second, like, or is it? Are you like? Because I remember with Dana H, I could slightly hear it, and then she would speak. What is the delay on it?
Well, when it's just dialogue and it's not lip sync specifically, it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, we just play the track and I'll speak over it. And if I have to sync up specifically with a technical element, I'll make sure I'm queued up with that in some sort of countdown fashion. I'll have countdowns and beeps and bloops in my ear as well.
Which is a really that is a big key to how we can do these things live without, something that actually we didn't talk about is Julia's there for like the first time ever. We never have a stage manager. It's only Josh in the closet, which means that those bleeps and bloops are super important because usually a stage manager would be hitting go on like the next whatever, but there isn't anyone there. So Josh gets a like little bleep telling him that the next thing's going to happen.
But specifically lip sync wise, and this is a known lip sync tool, we had 0.5 seconds between the track and that. I had.
Is there science behind that?
It's just something I heard from some drag queens.
Your own comfort?
I think it's your own comfort, but it was something I had heard from a drag queen or two. And yeah, so I would have two tracks in my ear simultaneously, one being 0.5 seconds behind the actual time I'd be singing and talking. Yeah. Lyrically, it was slightly different because lyrically, like if you're with music, and you actually have a built rhythm, I would have just my lyrics just to remind me of, so I didn't flub lyrics, and then I would just lip sync. But dialogue wise, I'd have two voices in my head.
Yeah. So that's like for Sacred Face, which was the musical that we did. It was Heather's singing while also Josh, or I recorded a couple of them, just like the talking for the lyrics, without singing, so that the words could pop. Joseph said, oh, well, Ethan says, can you please share the Izzy file for my online classes?
Totally, Ethan.
You can find it at Jared's Etsy shop in a week. And Joseph said meditative sounds nice.
Yes. Truly. Yeah.
It's funny. I with Russian Troll Farm, I had 5 actors on Zoom and gallery view, and then my Isadora cues were actually just like sandboxes of about 10 different camera options of like I would key them out and put them together side by side, or a single shot, or everybody had a single shot. And so it really was a TV studio. And I had to memorize the script because I couldn't be tracking the script. So I was just watching them, and I would cut it, and we would rehearse it, and it'd start to feel like a clarinet in a way in front of me, just like understanding that. And I filmed myself once and realized I was lip syncing with them in a lot of ways, because I was like trying, and my eyes were closed. And it's funny because people were like, how did you do that? And I was like, I guess on paper it sounds nuts to do like 5 different things at the same time. But that when you click into, I remember it, like the show was over 2 hours long, and it was like 2,000 cues, and in each cue had 10 options that I could mix up every day and like change it up a little bit, and they could see that, so they could see that I was playing off of them. And I remember the 2 hours to go by like it would be done, and I'm like, wow, I feel like I blacked out. I like don't remember scenes. And it's kind of amazing. So like when you speak of that, I totally get that, of like, that's why I feel like it's not just actors, like designers as actors, programmers as actors, like we're all storytelling, and if we can sync up into that, it's totally meditative.
Oh yeah,
it's like that. Did any of you see that movie Soul?
Sure.
No.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You get into, what do they call it? It's
the
like
zone?
when you're
zone?
really, I don't think it's something like that, but like, when you get into the zone, that you actually enter a different like state of consciousness. That's quite,
it's like you're
really.
I feel like it's like a rock skipping across the water. You're just kind of like bump, 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 and you're like,
that's flow. It's real flow.
Yeah. And it can happen digitally.
Yeah. We should probably wrap up, but I want to just ask one more.
Flow? Exactly.
Flow?
Exactly.
Yeah, flow. I want to just ask one more question. Looking towards the future of digital, what's the one thing you Jared are most excited to attempt that you have yet to attempt, or what's like the most impossible thing that you are excited to try that you think maybe in a couple years might be possible?
It's that simultaneity thing. It's how to have a singular storyteller feel multiple presences in a co-presence, and we build. It's about like writing new scripts, and by scripts I don't mean like dialogue and text. I mean like John Cage scores. Sure. It's like a whole new system to understand how audiences can still maintain their autonomy to view it, but the storyteller is kind of pulled in multiple directions, and it can mean multiple things. There's something really exciting about that. The other thing too is that's a spaceless excitement. Excitement based on location and space is like literally to what end. I'm talking with scientists that work with SETI and NASA, and like really exploring like what's the furthest point. If we're talking about 2 inaccessible spaces, your couch and an iceberg, like what can we do to connect things? Because it's so funny, we're so disconnected because of our tools, our digital tools, because we like walk through the world, but like how can we use those tools to. These tools are binoculars. They are like they're teleporters, and we use them incorrectly. So as artists, I'm excited for people like you two, for people who are looking at technology to do something that is not possible in this capacity in person. And as a result, we're training our audiences to say digital technology can be for the good as well. We constantly are kind of like shitting on it because it's detaching us. Well, yeah, because we're using it incorrectly. So as artists, that's the future I'm really excited by, is looking at artists who use tools to get to places they can't get to. And that has an ableist dismantling, that has an accessibility dismantling. There's so many things in the in-person that blocks so many people out. So technology is for the good. We just are putting it in the wrong hands and thinking about it incorrectly. So this was a great moment to see, like, there's kind of a beacon of light to be like, what other artists are out there that aren't going to get shut down by this moment, but are going to turn their tech on and kind of like send out signals, and it's connecting people everywhere to say, we know how to use these in very different ways. So I'm excited for that community, and I'm excited for that kind of like use of the technology.
I am too. And I want to
brought us together. Like, this is awesome.
Really did. Yeah. Jared Mezzocchi, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's really special to have you here in the room with the closet here. And yeah, this is it for our digital salon. This is the first time we've ever done a digital salon. Today we've done two, and maybe this is something we'll do again. You should do it often in plentiful times. It's amazing. So yeah, we're just like so thankful that you joined us. So thankful that all of you joined us as well.
Thank you, friends.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, Katie Rose. Anything you want to add before we wrap?
No. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Julia.
Julia.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Stay tuned. Check out our other stuff. Check out Jared's stuff.
Yeah. We declare you a terrorist. It's coming to Roundhouse Theatre in April.
Yeah, in April.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank
Katie
you
Rose,
again.
really nice to meet you finally too. I've met Josh in person, and I've met the closet in person, so now the tritium is complete.
Well, again, have a great night, everyone. This is Theater in Quarantine. All of our work is available on YouTube. It's all archived there, so please check it out. Please subscribe, and please stay part of this conversation. The technology can be used for good. Whew. All right. Have a good night.
Here.